I've been training Muay Thai for around 6 months now and started joining in on the sparring sessions recently. On pretty much a weekly basis, I end up taking a pretty big hit, not always to the head, but something that results in me needing to take a few rounds off or finish the session early. In speaking to my coach about this, he simply said that I need to toughen up and learn how to take it. It's left me feeling pretty disheartened, mostly because I'm trying my best and I don't really understand how I'm meant to go about toughening up. So here's my questions. Is my coach right? Do I just need to toughen myself up? If so, is there a process for doing this? And finally, is this normal behavior from a coach, or should I consider training somewhere else? Right, man, that's a pretty heavy hitting question, no pun intended, and pretty difficult for me to answer objectively because I haven't seen the sparring at your gym. So I can't really comment on if the guys at your gym are simply going too hard or if you are simply being a little bit too soft and you need to toughen up. But here's some ways that you can assess whether or not the sparring is too hard. The main thing to look out for, you said it's not always getting hit in the head, but sometimes I'm assuming it is. When you're getting hit and at the end of your sparring sessions, are you finishing every sparring session with a mild headache? Doesn't have to be anything excessive, but are you leaving the gym and thinking, oh, I've got a little bit of a headache? Because that's signs of a very mild light concussion, and it's certainly signs of being hit too much and too hard in the head. You shouldn't leave the gym with a headache. That's not a normal thing. Now, every now and then you accidentally walk onto a big shot or it's a heavy sparring day and it happens, right? Occasionally you might leave the gym with a headache. Welcome to kickboxing, welcome to Muay Thai and getting hit in the head. It's a reality of it. But on a weekly basis, if you're attending regular sparring sessions, you shouldn't be leaving feeling in any way brain fogged or, like I said, any pain in your brain or anything of the sort. Beyond that, in terms of like getting hit in the body, in the legs, are you getting really badly bruised? Like, are your thighs going black and blue? Are your arms got large bruises on it? Are you getting what's called like I think it's called a bone bruise, but basically a lump in your bone, and it doesn't necessarily feel super painful, but you feel like there's a lump on your bone. You often get these when you clash shins. Now, if you're wearing protective equipment, this is less likely to happen, but it still can. And if you're going really excessive with the force, then it definitely can happen as well. You can sometimes get them on your arms from blocking kicks. You can get them on your thighs if people are really going to town on you. So just be like conscious of stuff like this. If you're walking out of there all marked up on a weekly basis, again, that's a bad sign. That is a sign that the sparring is truly excessive. It's difficult to say that beyond that because, of course, different gyms have got different tolerance levels for this. I've often spoke about sparring in regards to like spicy food, and everyone's got a different tolerance, and if you go to different places, you'll get different levels of spice, and it's the same with sparring. I've been to some gyms where I've been told I need to go lighter on people. So I'm sparring at where like I generally go, and people come up to me, the coaches come up to me and they go, could you just like tone it down with our guys a little bit? And I'm like, yep, fine, absolutely no problem. And I've been to other gyms, sparred the exact same way, and I've been told, dude, you know, you can hit me. You don't need to be holding it back so much. And I've had coaches say, you can go on him more, put more on him, he can handle it, it's fine. It's very subjective. It really is on a case-by-case basis. But if you're feeling that way about it, that says something to you as it is. Like, listen to your instincts to some extent. Now, beyond that, can you actually toughen yourself up? Is there a way for you to actually go through a process, to do certain types of training to work on your personal toughness? Let's go through it. The first thing you certainly can do is you can condition your body. Now, part of that is actually just getting very strong for your weight. It doesn't mean you need to pack on loads of muscle or necessarily like superly change the way your body composition is, but it does mean, and it does reflect why so many gyms do so much push-ups, sit-ups, sprints, squats. There is a huge element of strength and conditioning, and part of that conditioning is preparing your body to take impact. So by strengthening your legs, your core, your arms, your shoulders, your neck, all of these things, they do contribute to your ability to take a shot. And a huge part of that is going to be fatigue. If you're not in good shape, the lightest of hits feel so much heavier. If you're not in shape and you're struggling to breathe and you take a medium body shot, that's going to be able to take the wind straight out of you. So there is something to be said of maybe you're just not built for it yet. You need to do more strength and conditioning. You need to train more to acclimate your body to that kind of impact. Now, the other part of that conditioning is things like conditioning your legs to be able to take leg kicks. And unfortunately, this just comes from years and years of taking leg kicks. What happens over time, and this is the same with you delivering kicks, if you kick a heavy bag, for instance, and you kick it for years and years and years, effectively what you do is you deaden the nerve endings on your legs. So on the skin where there's plenty of nerves and the surface tissue of your muscles, by just this constant impact, what you do is you damage the nerve endings. And it basically means that you feel less pain in those areas when you kick or when you get kicked. You eat enough kicks to your thigh, your partners over time, your opponents over time, will deaden some of the nerves in your leg. I know people they've had it happen so much that if you like graze a finger gently across their leg, they wouldn't necessarily feel it. They've got a certain level of numbness to them where they've just took so much impact to that leg. That's a real lifestyle choice, and that's really kind of going very heavy into your chosen sport. There is also definitely something to be said for some people just having a natural higher pain tolerance. Some people could take the exact same amount of pain, objectively, let's say it's a little electric shock, which I believe is how they do the testing for these things, and one person would score it a 5 out of 10 for pain, the other would score it a 7 or an 8 out of 10 for pain. So different people have a different natural tolerance, and you do build it over time by taking impact. An important caveat on this is you can't condition your head. You can't condition yourself to take headshots better, which is why, and I stress this all the time at my club in sparring, come to my sparring sessions and you just hear me saying it throughout the whole class. And it's not because anyone's being excessive. I'm just constantly reminding people, because of the level of importance, that we need to go light when we're hitting to the head, because there is no conditioning the brain or conditioning the skull or your jaw. Actually, all you really do by taking unnecessary impact is you chisel away at your ability to take a shot. Over time, you just weather away your chin and you lose that ability to be able to absorb damage. The jury's still out as far as I'm concerned in terms of neck conditioning, but if you look at a lot of pro fighters, whether it be Muay Thai, boxing, kickboxing, MMA fighters, a lot of them swear by doing neck exercises. What I will say, if you're going to attempt anything like that, is to go with extremely light weights. And I mean, find the lightest weight in your gym. If you're going to do anything that involves hanging something from your head and tilting your neck back up and down, and work with that, and basically don't ever progress from that. Okay? Don't ever feel the need. It's not your biceps. You don't need to use progressive overload over time to develop strength in your neck, because all you're really going to do is you're going to weather out your spine. You're going to mess up all sorts of things in here. There's more important things with regards to your neck and its ability to move than being able to eat a punch to the face. Beyond physically toughening yourself up, I think what your coach is referring to and what I think you're asking is, can you mentally toughen yourself? As in, everything feels the same, the kick hurts as much, the punch hurts as much, but you build up this mental resilience, these mental calluses, so that you're able to withstand it for longer. I've trained in striking for over 20 years, and I've seen people for over 20 years develop this resistance, develop this ability to be resilient where they weren't previously. As in, when they started with us, let's say it was 5-10 years ago, if they had eaten the equivalent shot, a jab right to the face, it would have been done. We would have been like, right, sparring's finished, I need to sit down, I need a breather. And now they eat that like it's nothing, and they eat a lot worse, because over time they've developed not only a resilience, but kind of perspective in terms of they've been hit by worse things, they've had more intensity put on them, and that jab now just doesn't feel as shocking as it once did. Well, the first time you get punched in the face, it's a pretty mad sensation. Like, if you've gone your whole life and you're a young adult, you're in your 20s, and for 20 years no one has ever hit you in the face, hopefully they have not, and then you experience that for the first time, that's a pretty mad sensation. Your nose rings with pain, your eyes start to water, your whole face scrunches up and you feel like you can't see, let alone anything else. And that's quite scary if you're not used to it. The more it happens to you, the more you're able to quickly shake it off, and the more you're able to start putting your chin down, rolling with the shot, deflecting it partly with your guard, so you're not getting hit as clean as often as when you are a beginner. That's a huge part of it as well. The more you train, the better you get, the less you're getting hit with these big clean shots, the more that you're kind of negating their offense. And then it's not necessarily a sign of your toughness, it just means your skill level's improving and you're not getting hit as much. So in short, yeah, you can build this mental toughness, but again, the way you do it and what you need is you need a room full of people that you trust. And what you trust them to do is apply a level of pressure to you that makes it uncomfortable, where you're gonna grow, but not a level of pressure that's crippling to you and means that there's no room for you actually to do the thing or improve. If I just apply all the pressure to you, if I go 100%, all that's gonna happen is I'm gonna beat you up, I'm gonna hurt you, you're gonna have to stop early, and you're not gonna learn anything. What I need to be able to do as a coach or as a good sparring partner is open the valve of my pressure onto you the right amount. Enough to make it that you are uncomfortable, that you're having to work harder and some hits are getting through and you're breathing heavy and your heart's beating out of your chest, but not enough to necessarily stop you. I don't want to break you, I want to take you to the brink. I want to bring you to that edge and then pull you back just a little bit. And each time we extend where that edge is, I push you that little bit further over time. And that's where it really comes down to. Now, your last question was, is this behavior from your coach normal, or should you look for somewhere else to train? I always say go with your instincts on these things. If you don't feel comfortable in that gym and that exchange with your coach that you had made you feel uncomfortable with him, like you don't trust him, then yes, you probably should look somewhere else. Here's a thing to consider. Some coaches are not very articulate. They're very good at what they do. They've got a really keen understanding of their sport and of their martial art, but they don't necessarily have all the words to express it. I consider myself quite an articulate coach. I like to know that I can communicate it in many different ways to many different people. But there's loads of coaches out there way better than I am, but they couldn't say it the way I say it. They would just put it bluntly in one sentence like that. And if your way of interpreting that is negative, they kind of just don't care. They're like, well, that's what I mean, that's what I said. Yeah, I could fluff it for you if you need me to, but that's what I mean. You need to toughen up. What I would do if you feel confident going up to this coach, I would ask him to expand on it. I'd say, coach, I hear what you said the other day about me needing to toughen up. Fair play. But could you give me some kind of constructive advice of how I can go about that beyond just coming to training? You might get a bit more out of him. He might just say, look, just do your rounds, just get in and spar. And you need to choose whether or not that's the kind of coaching that you want, or if you want something that's a bit more, step by step, guide by guide. Everyone's gonna be a little bit different. I can't answer that for you. But going by the way you worded your question, there's nothing wrong with looking around at other gyms. But also do just keep in mind that, yeah, partly it might be that you need to toughen up, both physically, condition your body, get it back into the right frame, or just mentally put yourself through the fire. But again, you need the right people to do that in a way that's safe and constructive for you. Guys, I hope this has been helpful. I'm gonna add a thing at the end of this video. For those of you that aren't aware, because I don't know if I've mentioned it in a video, but I've damaged my knee. I believe that I've torn my ACL, and I'm waiting for the results on my MRI scan that I'm getting later this week. So I've not done any tutorial videos or anything that's kind of physical on the bag. Someone was asking about striker breakdowns the other day. I'm so keen to get back to all of that type of content, but obviously I'm running on a flat tire right now, so I need to get this seen to. I'm gonna keep pouring out content as best I can. Just bear with me on things like tutorials. I'm gonna speak to some of my guys, some of my students, and see if I can get them involved on doing some videos so that I can keep offering that kind of content as well as answering your questions. If you've got a question, submit it on Instagram or via the comments down below, and I will see you on the next one.